in small communities, in closed communities. We may all have experienced stigma, comprehension, xenophobia, segregation, for the only simple reason that we couldn't fit to the norm. At some point, these may well have been the new revolutionaries that flooded cities around the world with arts, feelings, music, life, and humanism. Rebels without any cause except one, to be themselves. So in 2014, in the small city of Bragança, far away from the big city in many aspects, became aware of something that could work if lights were turned on in the right direction. That's why Smart Travel couldn't be just another event full of academia, though respectable, of course, keynotes and big corporations and other superstars. It has to be something different, more sharing driven with reciprocate communication, so enlightenment could be bidirectional. So besides all the topics and sectors previously mentioned, we created under the Smart Travel umbrella also cultural and artistic events. I must say it wasn't an easy task, by the contrary. But the main goal was not to become a capital of street art, urban art, or whatever. The main goal was to shed a light in the shadow, make the invisible visible. Because any city has these creative souls wandering around in the shadows, some hiding even from themselves. Every city can do more about it. Bragança did. The accepted phenomena launched a creative movement in all sectors, from municipality to schools, from business to culture. From 2014, the city organized after street art festivals and other cultural and artistic events, mixing local artists and creatives with guests from outside. But that is just a tiny fraction of a creative pulse. To become a trend, it may not be enough because it's a reaction. Cities need to act more than react, need to do more than copy. And this is itself a creative process. So even though I used to be, when I had the last years than now, I used to be a musician and had some written poetry and some design, I think that Smart Travel, the event, was the ultimate project that pushed me forward to help cities designing and disrupting their own future, their own projects. Because cities are not all the same. They are an infinite canvas in continuous fractal growth and development. Smart cities industry tried to sell services and products to cities like it was enough to become smart. And some cities bought those services and products, but the results in most of the case didn't correspond to the expectations. Because at the end, it's just technology, products, and cities need more than that. That's the reason we launched in 2018 the Zoom Global Smart Cities Association, that not only gathers experts from technology and industry, but others from all activities, multidisciplinary and eclectic group of experts and people in the most wide range of activities. So it's complementary to my work, though more incisive in creating a third way alternative to approach all these matters. But no projects can be done without resources, and seeing how Ralph Overbeck and his team managed to launch this Smart Travel spin-off in such a short timing makes me feel good and flattered for the mentions, and of course honored to participate. This Smart Festival, although limited by the inexistent physical interaction, is something huge and disruptive to the future of places and communities. And I'm going to try to explain why. First, let me just take me out of the screen a little bit, otherwise you won't see the rest of the pictures. So we have a big responsibility for the future. It's the only way to win the battle. Ways of totalitarianism and obscurantism is bringing light to the creative hearts that are everywhere in this world. The ones who are not being listened and cared by their own families and by their own neighbors, for example, and by their own communities. So we may have to fight for them in the future, for them and for our own sons and daughters, by inspiration, by sharing and caring, and ultimately by creation. Once this pandemic is gone, another will, it's practically certain that another will come. What we must assure is that never more silencing and censoring creation can be accepted. But at the same time, we have to handle this pandemic with very care. I believe we are experiencing something new in the world right now, and surprisingly, I observe that this new reality has supporters and it's cherished by many. I must say, I'm not one of them. My perspective is clear. Technology and digital world are part of the creation and inevitable by now for many artists and performers, but it can't become the only world we know from now on. So this sounds more like a Kafka story, history. Yes, Kafka, one of those that he wrote in the shade and that was kept hidden because it's so absurd that no one would believe it. It would become real at this time. The story of a world without performance, without physical contact, without events, concerts, with life suspended by fear and lack of compassion and humanity. A world where all the artists are and creatives were imprisoned in the digital world, and their own homes and studios. Well, for some, it's a blessing. I'm aware of it. I'm aware that a lot of creative people and artists don't like to socialize too much. They like their own space. But the problem from my perspective that it's their choice. And right now we don't have choice, but there will be consequences. That's why, in my opinion, digital can be perfect. Events that are becoming digital, they can be considered a huge success, because if people, event organizers, performers, and actors start accepting that success, even fabricated by clicks and views in the digital world, is an alternative, we will lose sight of the real stage of life. So the culture seems to be temporarily canceled nowadays, but is conformity, is conformity that stops the heartbeat. Not even the income or economic drive or a talented artist. For some of them, including Kafka, for example, recognition was only achieved after his death. So passionate people for their own and others' creations is the fuel to the fire that I believe it's possible to start in each community, in each village, and in all places where people gather together, socialize, talk, and debate. But unfortunately, it's not an easy task, and in some cases will be impossible. But if the process, if in the process some of the talents rise above and become themselves energy and inspiration, the world will become better, even if creation itself is sometimes or most of the times pain and suffering. But the relief of being will come eventually. And like Philosopher's Stone, everything will be clear. So thank you, Rolf, once again, and the Casale Flaminia, and everyone that accepted to participate in this festival, in this event, online event this year, unfortunately. But we hope that in the future, things will get better and make this real and set this great group of gift talented artists that are warming their hearts and souls of cities and communities around the world. Thank you all. and let's keep the fire burning. Thank you.
Thank you, Vitor. Can you hear me, Vitor?
Yeah, sure.
Great. Okay.
Perfectly.
So if you can hear me, our audience can hear us. So thank you for sharing your vision. We have artists in the lineup, public artist Karin, for example, where there is an opportunity to connect artists to cities. And I think what I've learned here in Spoleto during the pandemic is that it is the artists who are really keeping our spirit up and providing the resilience a city needs. So Vitor, where do you see the resilience of cities going in relation to artists who we now recognize as key workers moving forward when we come out of the pandemic?
Well, I really hope that this time is that we are living now with through the pandemic since early 2020 is making clear that we really are in need of something that is lacking. So I believe that there's no city without socializing. So there's no community if people are not able to talk with others, or at least interact with others. So I really, as I said, I really think that there's a space for digital art and digital events and a lot of new innovation, and there's a lot of creative people doing amazing things with the computer, with the artificial intelligence, with digital arts and so on. So I really believe this is a trend. It will become important part of a creative process. What I'm curious about to see is, are we going to have only this, or and become like the main stage for culture and for creatives to work, because there's no other option, because of the disease or whatever it's happening. And this, it's a little bit concerned. I'm a little bit concerned about it, because one thing is that you have the option to choose which stage or each area you want to work, and you want to expand your creative process. The other thing is that someone forbids you to use the public space or the world itself as the main stage for the creative process and the inspiration. So this can be a great challenge for the future of cities, because from my perspective, the city itself is a infinite canvas. So it's not just the mayor decides to fix the water, the plumbing, the sewing, or the garbage collector or whatever. It has more than that. It has the chaotic life itself, from in clashing perspective between what is the freedom of ones and the freedom of others, and that this balance that makes innovations thrive, and the creative process thrive, and all this culture rising. But it's not an easy process, not a peaceful process. But sometimes people think that cities are perfect. Cities are not perfect, and most of the cities that we are watching, like example right now, they have a very, very complicated times. Years ago, when a lot of people start flooding them, and become and that city became his image. And we all know that some artists, they don't have a very, very a very, very peaceful image sometimes. You know, if you are thinking about, for example, Austin in Texas, and now is a very nice city, but in the process of hard rock process and heavy metal and all the trash metal that became a trend for bands, that they were searching for places to play, or at least have their own their creative process without banging, without noising their neighbors in the big cities. So they have to move to a place, an alternative place, and that's what created the Austin movement. But you have other examples that are around the world, just next to us. So I believe we have a challenge for the future with this pandemic. Can be the right moment to reflect about what is happening, and what I see is not optimistic. We have to pay attention to these movements that are creating channeling the culture and the artist to the digital world as an exclusive stage for everyone. So let's keep attention on this.
Yes, Vitor. And, I remember us yesterday, I mean, we kind of had a digital sort of get together like we would do, back in Nice at the conference. The magic really happens outside the conference, and also the magic will happen outside the festival when we continue to co-create after. And I remember you saying that, Ralph, I really want the digital version of the festival to fail. And I couldn't agree more. I think I added, yes, we want it to fail, and let's not feel the failure. Let's just fail forward. But we need to, I think when you said, the digitalizing artist, I think Riccardo, who is going to be joining us, and Adi, they would just shiver when they hear this, right? Yes, I think we are in unknown territories, as we all know, and hopefully the festival will give us some inspiration to find ways out of the pandemic.
Yes, I totally agree. It's because these kind of festivals, of course, we can do it in an hybrid mode, and it's good that we sometimes we have these digital tools, to connect people around the world and make them talk with each other and connect with each other and inspire each other. But at the end of the day, I believe we will have we all lacking of another thing rather than the Zoom conference or festival or whatever. When I mean failing, it's that people are saying a huge success. This kind of events in the digital world, and if it's a huge success, so why we need to do a huge failures when we do it in the physical way? So this can bring us some dilemma about what kind of message we are giving to our children, for example, that they may consider it's more successful to do this kind of events in the digital platform, where they get thousands of clicks and views and opinions and comments and whatever, and this is good for their self respect or ego or whatever. But in the end, I'm not sure that a room or a venue with 20 people can be, or 20 or 30 or 40 people can be less rich in terms of creativeness and impact for the soul and heart rather than a Facebook page with thousands of followers. So this is what we need to keep it warm. And big, it's not good. Sometimes big can be bad. So we have to match what the equation is right now. So we are in the last border we are in the edge right now. So I believe there's a energy bringing us to a side, and there's a energy that's conforming, and there will be a time that some will rebel. So I want to be a little bit open-minded to understand what kind of rebellion we need to build right now without clashing with the purpose of protecting people from disease. Of course, we already know a lot of science about this. It's not the conversation here, but we must pay attention that even if this is the first time that happens something like this, because this is the first time we have the tools and the network and the infrastructure to do something like this. Because the other crisis we had along the world, around our centuries and our history, this never happened. Even the World War World War II, the pandemic, Spanish flu, whatever, bars, venues, music. Well, I can mention the Hong Kong flu pandemic, where happened, hit the world, killed 1 million people and 200,000 in America, exactly in the moment that Woodstock was being organized. So we cannot just think that we are going to survive. Basically, if we are going to die, at least that's the main certain we have, but at least we must make sure that the world doesn't close also with this process.
Thank you, Vitor, and very good timed, because I'm now seeing that Riccardo Meneghini has joined us. And so I think what we'll do is here, we will take it into Riccardo from here. I was going to ask to unmute, for people to unmute, and if they have any questions. But what we can do is, because Vitor is staying with us throughout the conference, if you have any questions for Vitor, we will address it later. So I would like to now sort of hopefully keep good timing. So Riccardo Meneghini has joined us. He is Riccardo and I. We have one common thing in common, which is we both have a competitive background in judo. This is what I noticed in his bio, and then when I read it, it was mind-boggling. So check out his bio. His bio is online under curator. Riccardo is our curator for smart dancing, and some of you might have already seen his video inviting us to dance towards Smart Festival. And I would now like to hand over to Riccardo. So please bear with me because I'm a Zoom novice. So
good morning, everyone.
Well done. Zoom is magic. It does it automatically. Good morning, Riccardo.
Good morning. I just would like to start with something similar to what you experienced with the video I posted at the beginning of the week. So I invite you to stand up, or if you feel more comfortable, to sit down in your chair. And we're gonna go through a little improv connecting to our body, how our body relates with the space and with anything, thoughts, ideas, images that I'm gonna give it to you, just to wake up the senses. And then maybe we're gonna have a little chat, and then maybe at the end, we're gonna finish with a little dance.
Sounds good.
So I invite you to stand in your room and let's just take a couple of breaths just to arrive in your body. And so I invite you to breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in again. Deeply breathe out and feel how your body is kind of pouring down into your feet or into the surface that is in contact with the floor. And while we're breathing, I'd like you to imagine to be a big ear, okay? It's about listening, about being this, my whole body is a big ear. So if you would like to try to close your eyes and imagine to listen to with your whole body. You're still breathing. Every time you're breathing out, you feel your body weight melting into the contact with the floor. So in this instance, my weight is pouring down. And every time I'm breathing in, I'm expanding and I'm listening to the space. And I'd like you to start thinking of listening to whatever is in front of you with your whole body. Keep breathing and listening to what's happening inside your body. And let's focus on listening on anything that is behind you. And you might notice that something is shifting inside your body while you are focusing on listening to whatever is behind you with your whole body. Maybe your body also wants to try shifting, but just stay still, stay breathing, and focus on listening to whatever is on your right side. So notice what's happening inside you while you're listening to your right side of your body. And to the left, how is your inner structure shifting and changing in this suspended place that your body is? Your body is in between the earth and the sky. And we can play listening to whatever is above us, whatever is underneath us, and shift the focus with in front, back, right, left, above, underneath. You choose and see how your inner structure is changing. So I invite you to do this process slowly. Slowly, and it's like you're in a dark room and you just want to listen to whatever comes in different directions. You might notice that your body, even if still, even if it's just breathing, the inner structure changes based on our intention of connecting directionally into the space. And I invite you now to bring your hands on the top of your head. Release your shoulders and your elbows so we can really feel the weight of the hands into the head, the crown of our head. And you might feel also the weight in your feet in relations with the floor. And I invite you to push into the hands with your head and push with your feet into the ground. You push, 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 go towards and release. Allow gravity to work a little bit. You can release and you can go again back into extending into the hands, with the head into the hands, with the feet into the ground. So we are kind of working in two directions. With the head, we are growing towards the sky, and with the feet, we are rooting and growing towards the center of earth. Allow your sternum to be relaxed. Allow your body to breathe. So maybe you can even find that you exhale and the tone of your body can release. Maybe you can find even a curve, and then you're going to inhale and you're going to extend in two directions, with the head towards the hands, with the feet towards the center of earth. And just find a little dance of releasing and extending in two directions. Root with your head into the sky, into the hands. Root with your feet into the ground. So, yeah, allow your spine to release and extend. Wow, very good. And from here, just slide with your hands beside your face and in the front of your body, and just take your hands down into one leg, sandwiching the leg to find one foot. Maybe we can massage a little bit your feet, your foot, and then you can ground the foot even more. So you can place your hand in the front and the back, in the heel and the front of the foot to really find the ground and root it. And let's come back up and place the opposite hand on the head. And we have one hand and one foot free. And we're going to do the same identical thing that we did before, rooting with one foot and with one hand. And the free leg and arm can be used as we are like balancing on a rope. And we can use this idea of releasing, breathing out, and inhaling, extending. So extending and releasing. And I'm using my legs and my arms to balance. And back with the 2 feet and in the 2 hands. And let's slide again with the hands in front of the chest. Maybe this time we can take it on the lower back, and we can even give a little rub to the lower back. Why not? Let's wake up our kidneys, our energy, our butt, and down into the other leg. We're going to root the other leg, the other foot. You have to place your one hand in the front and one on the heel to really imagine sending the roots down. And we're going to place, we do the same thing, the opposite hand on the leg, on the head. And we have a free arm and free leg. And we can still work thinking about these 2 places, one hand and one foot, releasing and extending, getting these 2 places closer to each other and further away. Closer and further away. Closer and further away. Yeah, keep breathing. Wow. And find again your 2 feet and the 2 hands on the floor, and this time your feet on the floor, and this time open your arms and just really feel like now imagine the roots in your feet to go down. And really I like the idea of thinking about me like being a tree. More my roots that are able to go down, the more I'm able to grow up towards the sky. And I want you to imagine that I didn't give water to my plant for a while. So slowly the plant is growing without water. So the tone of my body grow smaller. And then I add water for this plant to grow and extend. So again, this idea of releasing, with this idea of slowly losing tone, and extending. So I'm going to root into the place that is in contact with the floor, my feet, to be able to push and extend. And so my body is growing in one direction, in this sense, towards the sky, and release. Nothing new. And just play with this idea of releasing, so less water in my body, tone, smaller tone, and bigger tone, growing in towards the sky, releasing and growing. And let's play a game where we are releasing and we are growing towards the sun, and let's pretend that the sun is in front of us, the light is in front of me. So where is my body growing? Maybe my arms, maybe my head, and release. Let's try again. Maybe there's another part of the body that's growing in front, that wants to go. Maybe I have a flower in my chest. Maybe I want to, my chest is going forward, and release. Let's pretend that the sun is behind us. So we're going to release and we're going to grow towards the back. What's the easiest part? Maybe the arms, maybe your back, maybe it's your pelvis moving behind. And keep in mind the idea of listening. So let's pretend that the sun is coming from your right side. So I'm releasing and I'm going to grow towards the right side. No rushing. How far can you go? And maybe you can imagine different parts of the body going more than others. And the sun is coming from the left. And the sun is coming from underneath? How can I grow towards underneath and above us? And so just play with the different direction, right, left, up, down, and keep breathing, releasing and expanding, releasing and extending, releasing and extending. And when you release and when you expand, you might extend so much that you might move in space. So you are becoming a moving tree. I'm extending so much that I'm able to do a step. I'm extending so much in one direction that I'm able to move in space. How small can you become? And maybe you can find other part of the body that can root and extend. I can root and extend and maybe go so further to find movement in space. There's no need to do fancy things, but just find clarity of intention, of direction. Wow. And maybe you can even find a moment where you come back into this balancing idea between earth and sky, and then into space, moving. Wow. And just feel free to explore and dance. Okay. When you're ready, come back. Standing, finding your feet in the ground. And with the hands, let's just place the hands on the feet, hands not on the ground, and just take the energy from the ground and take it up from the feet into the legs. And further up, we want to go through our center, through our solar plexus, our heart, our throat, up into the crown of our head. And from here, let's let the energy spill out like a fountain. So let's open towards the universe. So we are connecting the energy from the earth up into our body, out in space towards eternity. We have this connection between earth and the universe. And from here, with your arms, maybe reach up to take that energy from the universe and shower with it, taking like in a bowl. And this bowl wants to go through the head, through your mouth, your throat, your heart. And let's just stay here in the solar plexus. Creativity, light. And from here, just hold the bowl in front of the solar plexus. And from here, imagine this ball of light becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. And let your hands slowly open. Let your light expand in all directions. Open your hands. Imagine this ball of light becoming bigger and brighter. And allow your arms to open and let your light shine in all directions. Let your body connecting with space. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. Okay. How are you?
Riccardo. All right, let me give you, I have some messages. Melissa, our curator of literature, said that she didn't have time to do the yoga this morning, and this is just perfect. And what I can say is we were planning a 7-week run up to the festival. And of course, something happened as always in life, and we had to reset the festival, and we only had 3 weeks. So things were kind of hectic. So this actually helped me really to release some of the anxiety and some of the pressure. However, what I would say is my body is deteriorating. So watching you doing all these wonderful moves, all I feel is pain, right? So my first question is, how do you deal with pain when you're dancing?
How do you deal with pain with the dancing? Well, it's interesting. As you said, the body deteriorates. It's inevitable. And I'm turning 42 this year. And of course, I don't know, we all have limitations. And maybe my limitations are growing. So my knee, I know I cannot flex it and twist it anymore as I used to. But so you just work with your limitations. There is still so much that your body can do. And also, maybe sometimes we forget to take care of our body. What do you know that you need to stretch a little bit more? I know, like, for instance, taking care of your body, little things like I bought this, how do you say, clay to be able to, it's anti-inflammatory stuff. And I always knew that's very good for your tendons. And so, you know, just little things, take care to massage, to put clay on it, to do that stretching that you know that is gonna be good for your body, or strengthen your core to be able to support your body. So sometimes we have to just give ourselves extra time to prepare, or afterwards to take care of.
Okay, that sounds encouraging. Now,
Riccardo, I have a question for you. It's related with the time we are living now. Do you think that people are getting more interested in taking care of their own body and health? How do you see things right now? They are more worried with the external products rather than prepare themselves for better health care.
I don't know. I think people, with the first lockdown last year was an opportunity to slow down and to really see that actually to have time for themselves. It's good, and they could do things and take that time for themselves. But I think maybe at this moment, after a year into this, like I say for myself, it becomes harder to give yourself that time, even if you have a lot of time, because you need to go, I don't know, you need to be able to move also in space and meet people. I think that's for me, it's very important. But I don't know about people taking care of their bodies. You know, there are so many, I cannot answer for
well, Riccardo, so this leads us to something which I've been sort of thinking since you showed up in my life, is how do you deal with lockdown? I mean, leading up to the half an hour to 10 o'clock, I'm not sure whether I managed to get it right, but I showed the dancing teaser, which you were going to take on stage with your dancing team to Freiburg in Switzerland, and I think you were going to go internationally. Now you're grounded. How do dancers deal with the fact that you're grounded now? How do you keep the spirit up? How do you keep your exercising?
Well, for me, it's part of my routine. You know, for me, moving and taking care with my body and connecting, it's part of my routine. I also meditate a lot. I chant Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. I'm a Buddhist, so there's I try to structure my day in a way where there are important moments for my mind, my body, and then time to be active or not, or yeah, ready to be present.
Okay, so I keep forgetting, but hopefully I will follow the format, is that if there are any questions from the audience, and maybe we can test it, please. Can you see if you can unmute yourself then, and then you can ask Riccardo a question if there are any other questions, because at the moment Vitor and I are unmuted. Ingrid, do you have a question? Can you try and unmute yourself? I'm going to bring you in now, Ingrid.
Hi.
Hi, Ingrid. So Ingrid is part of our artist lineup. We will see more from her later. No, tomorrow. Yeah, Ingrid.
No, later today.
Yeah. Okay. Well, now we've tested that. If there are any questions within the audience, then all we need to do is unmute ourselves, and then we can ask. So let me just check timing. Yeah. So Riccardo, so before we bring Adi Atassi in, did you meet Adi yesterday when we had a quick try? No, you didn't. Okay. So before we do that, I think you're going to do an improvised performance.
Yeah, so okay. I can do like a 3 minutes.
Yeah, hang on.
I have one question in between for Riccardo. It's something that is in my mind. Is how do you inspire yourself right now? What is your daily routine to get inspiration for your creation art?
My inspiration is nature. Like I am lucky enough to be staying from Trento, so nature is very present, and for me it's been really my inspiring for moving, for wandering, a place of peace. You know, it's a place where my body can exchange with whatever it's around. So and also I don't know, I'm just very curious. I am, and I'm also very good at keeping contact with friends, so I've been doing that. But how do I get inspired, keep inspired? Yeah, I think I would say nature as first. Yeah.
Okay, so if there are no further questions, again, Riccardo will be staying with us throughout the conference. So if you do have any questions, we can always follow up. And so the dancing stage is all yours, Riccardo. And again, if just for the audience, if you want to see Riccardo on stage in full screen mode, which I only figured out yesterday, there is like an icon, top right corner on the desktop, and you just change from view to speaker. Well, this is how it works in my setup, but there is an option on mobile device where you can basically go from gallery view, which looks like Muppet Show, to full stage view. Okay, the floor is over to you, Riccardo.
And if you feel inspired to ask any other question, just pop it in the chat room, and I will check it out later. And
thank you. Yeah. Grazie mille, Riccardo.
Prego.
Wow, Riccardo, wow. Thank you so much for sharing yourself so beautifully.
It was a pleasure.
Yes, and just remind us you're in Milan at the moment, because I know you're you're a world citizen. In fact, Coco, our mutual friend, he pointed me to San Francisco. And so I know you spend a lot of time in San Francisco, and then, but eventually we found you in the time zone. And he said, oh, wow, Ralph, actually Riccardo is in Italy.
Yes.
Yes, yeah, because we were worried about time zone. Good, great. So Riccardo, thank you very much. And it's not, and you know, we need to request an update to Zoom where we can all, you know, clap and do the, I think that there is maybe something.
I think there's a button like this.
Yes, yeah, you need a bravo, bravi. Yeah. Oh, okay, we are clapping. Excellent. Where's the feature?
Yeah, there's a button reactions.
Reactions. Okay, reactions. Yes.
I like hearts.
Yeah.
Give me hearts. I need hearts.
Hearts. Okay, hearts. Okay, hang on. I'll give you some hearts. There you go. I give you also. Look, in the spirit of the festival, I also give you a tada. Okay.
Hi, Ralph.
Stay with you now. And...
great. Hang on, Graham. Hang on, Graham. Hi, Graham.
Hi there, Ralph. I just wanted, sorry, I'm interrupting. I'm sort of budging in and nudging people out of the way, so apologies for that.
No,
I just wanted to make a comment on the question you asked about how people keep themselves inspired, especially during lockdown with all the lack of the freedom to actually be able to move around. And I guess for me, it's something that I always emphasized to my daughters when they were growing up, and still do now as they're now young women. But really, much like you've done and the others who've organized the festival, it's for me that inspiration is kept by stretching our comfort zones, just pushing at our comfort zones, that little bit that makes us nervous, apprehensive, a little bit anxious. Will this work? Will I fail? But without stretching that comfort zone, you remain where you are, and you don't expand, you don't build, you don't grow. And that's what I've tried to emphasize. I said to my daughters when they were growing up, most certainly you putting this together, I'm sure it's been a stretch of your comfort zones to actually get this together and hope it works.
Graham, it's interesting you say that, because our mutual acquaintance of Riccardo, Coco, he's actually the mentor who actually pointed me to saying that, Ralph, when we push ourselves outside our comfort zone, that is where the magic happens. And I think that's what you're saying. It takes, we need to be courageous to do that, because often we like to stay in the comfort zone. Now, artists have a propensity to push themselves out of the comfort zone, because that's where the magic happens, that's where the creativity happens. So yeah, Graham, thank you. I think it's great that we can engage the audience, because I'm still learning how Zoom works. So thank you very much, Graham. And Riccardo, when you speak to Coco, send him my love. And we will now, I now have the pleasure to introduce Adi Atassi. Adi, are you there just before I introduce you? We need to unmute Adi. Hang on. Adi, can you unmute yourself? Maestro Adi?
Yes, I am there.
Right. Okay, Adi. So now I just wanted to make sure that when I introduce you, that I'm not, now I need to be careful how I introduce you. I can't say all the things, because Adi and I, we've been in the trenches for quite some time. Adi is an artist, a Syrian artist based in Syria, based in Cyprus. I met Adi through our work with the refugees. I think you will find that one of the theme of the festival is that we are all refugees. And so we have some extraordinary artistic contribution. And Adi was selected out of 100 applications as our first artist in residence here at Casale Flaminia. And we've created quite a bit of magic in Spoleto. In fact, Spoleto has now adopted Adi. There's one thing before I take it into Vivaldi, I just want to say for you, Vitor, also, is Adi does, and I didn't make the connection, otherwise we would have brought it into the festival, but there's always the second edition of the festival. Adi, when he came to Spoleto, I knew about his work, which was Urban City. And what he does is he captures the vocabulary of a city. And he does it by going into the city. He needs to feel the city. He needs to feel the energy, because I said to Adi, I'm going to find you a nice spot in Spoleto, and then you can paint Spoleto. And Adi said, this is not how I work, Ralph. I capture the vocabulary and I memorize it. So what we have to do is we have to mingle with the locals. We have to we have to feel Spoleto, and from this magic happened, because then during the residency, Adi captured the vocabulary of Spoleto, and this is for you, Vitor, is that Adi, as far as I'm concerned, we need to export him to all the cities for him to capture the vocabulary, capture the feeling.
Definitely, that's the best way to know a place. Is get lost in this place and connect with their own locals. And of course, I do it also in my trips when we used to have travel and visiting cities and connecting with the places that are unknown for the mainstream, or outside of the maps, or outside of the tourist guides or whatever. So this is I'm totally in tune with the idea about this, because I also take days to get lost in the city and experience myself the beat the beat of the city, the heartbeat.
Yeah, you have to collect the energy from all around, from the view, from all your senses, actually.
Exactly.
You have to look, you have to listen, you have to smell, you have to touch, and you have to taste. Plus, your sixth senses will work all together as well, helping you collecting all these senses all together. Manipulate them in your visual mind and recreate your own city regarding to whatever you've been there. So when I did that with Spoleto, yeah, it was a great opportunity, which beautiful city, actually, small village, I don't know, or big village, I don't know what is it. But it's full of potential, full of beauty, even though it was in the middle of winter time. But it was beautiful, beautiful, beautiful city, whatever.
Well, you called it Spoleto. Spoleto, you called it, right?
Spoleto. Actually, I was spoiled in Spoleto. Yes.
Yeah. So, Adi, just I would like to provide some context around Vivaldi. Since the residency, and because Adi has already captured the vocabulary in various variations of Spoleto, we were thinking about the next project. That was well before the pandemic, and every time Adi we're speaking, we're saying, why don't we do something which Adi did in Cyprus, which is Love Mozart? Is it right? Or Mozart Love? Yeah. And Adi, so I was really inspired by that in terms of capturing the music and transforming, I mean, as a sort of mathematician, sort of the transformation of patterns, music, and to me, music, notes is mathematics. And so now we have an opportunity. Again, I mean, we are on a digital platform. We don't really want to be a digital platform, but here we now have an opportunity where we said, why don't we adapt what we wanted to do we already found the theater in Spoleto to do this, but of course now we can't do it. So now we do it on the digital platform. And we said, why don't we adapt Love Mozart? And we do this with Vivaldi. So I would, and covering the 4 seasons. So I'm now handing over to Adi to engage us into the 4 seasons of Vivaldi. Thank you, Adi.
Now I will move to my studio. I hope the view is going to be okay. Just give me one minute, please.
Piano, piano. Piano, piano.
Is it clear for everybody? Is it clear?
Yes, it's clear. It's clear. Yes.
Good. I will start Vivaldi's music. Now it was the springtime, now it will play summertime. Just I will change my paper. So the first one, I have done it with black ink. The second one, I'm going to make it directly with watercolor.
Adi, are you using Chinese ink?
Yes.
Ah, okay.
Now I'm going to use watercolor now. The size of this paper is 75 centimeters by 55. As you can see here, I prepare a chart of color for each season. And at the end, I think I'm going to scan them and to show them as finished. And you can watch them on our platform site. I will play now the second part of Vivaldi's, which is called The Summer. I think now they will play Autumn Sad. No, sorry, it's still on summer time. Now it's going to play the autumnal season. I will check my paper as well. I hope you are enjoying.
Adi, are you following the same sequence like Vivaldi? Is it the same sequence?
It's the same sequence of the rhythm of each season. Actually, I'm trying to follow, the rhythm of the music itself, the sequences and the frequencies as well.
So now we're going into autumn, you said, yeah?
Now we are going to start the autumn.
For our American audience, the fall.
The fall, yeah. This one, I think I'm going to mix the ink with watercolor together to see if it works. So let's start. Oh my God, what a beautiful music. I think now we are going to play the winter season. No, it's day in fall time.
Adi, the music, no, it's back. Okay.
I'm just waiting for winter time because autumn, fall didn't finish yet.
So we're doing the paper for winter now, Adi? For the winter season?
No, not yet. Not yet. I am waiting for winter.
See,
Yeah.
okay.
It's at the moment 32, I think. No, 31.
We're still in autumn. We're still in autumn. Okay, I get it. Thank you, Adi. So Adi, while we're waiting for winter, how do you feel? How do you feel now?
I'm very relaxed. I'm really relaxed, enjoying, because art for me is about fun. I'm just having fun.
The feeling is mutual.
My soul is dancing with the music, actually.
Riccardo, did you hear? Adi's soul is dancing.
So now it will start winter time. Winter time is dark, gray, dark green, dark gray. Now the storm is coming. I think I'm done, because if I will do more, it will be overworked. I hope you enjoyed the process, the performancing.
We don't want you to stop, Adi. We want you just to continue. We can watch you forever. Why don't we just go around another year, leading up to Smart Festival 2022?
I will go with you, my friend Ralph.
We will do that journey together, Adi.
Yes, we will. Since you have a creative mind, I am with you.
You're too kind. So while Adi is polishing up, I would like to mention that we have Davina Johnson in the audience, and Davina will be telling her story around her husband, around the work which Adi and I have been involved with the refugees, and it will be curated by Adi with some of his work capturing the episodes of We Are All Refugees. So, so Adi, from this, I think
I am done.
Okay, great. So I believe we're now ready for a break. So I would like to acknowledge the audience, all of us, for bearing with us, because we had some real technical issues getting this off the ground. And I think it shows that, again, yet again, that done is better than perfect, because we would have missed the magic of Riccardo and Adi and setting the scene with Vitor, because it's always tempting to pull the plug on something when we feel it's not perfect, because we were really struggling yesterday. And I would like to acknowledge Ingrid, who stepped up, because I said to Ingrid, look, we don't know how to do Zoom, and Ingrid got some of the artists into an impromptu Zoom session to make us more comfortable. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, Adi?
I would like you to think of this word. The imperfect is perfect.
Wow, okay, you're an artist, I'm not Adi.
The imperfect in everything is perfect.
Wow, okay, yes, we can see the beauty in imperfection. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Okay, right.
We can call this festival a successful failure.
Yeah.
Really impressive work. Congratulations, Adi. You really got us inspired at all. And we just realized that besides you're a great artist with a brush, you are a dancer also and a musician with all the senses.
Yeah, kind of.
Adi, what was fascinating for me is that I've seen your work, the output, but I've never seen you in action. So to see an artist creating the output, which I've sort of been privileged to curate in terms of, so I would like to point our audience to our section on Casale Flaminia artwork, where we're representing various artists, Adi Atassi. And Adi is kindly donating 15% of the proceedings to the fellowship, where we support emerging artists and writers to join us as part of Casale Flaminia residency. So Adi, I really acknowledge you for that. And so now I think we're ready for a break. Thank you very much. Grazie mille.
Just before you go, before you go, Ralph, I just wanted to pick up on references to perfection and excellence that people have been talking about. And I came across quite a good quote from Michael J. Fox. Remember Michael J. Fox and Back to the Future and various other films, and now suffering in life with Parkinson's. And a quote I quite like from him, he says, I'm careful not to confuse excellence with perfection. Excellence I can reach, for perfection is God's business. Not that I'm a believer in God, but I like the quote.
Well, okay. It's the universe, God, yeah, yes, the greater, what is greater than us, yeah. Thank you, yeah, great. Okay. So actually, before I forget, what I'd like to also point out is we have Divina in the audience. Divina, can you wave? Not Divina, sorry, Sandy. Sandy? Hello, Sandy. So Sandy will be joining us in the afternoon session, connecting with the energy, the whispering with Bonadea. So I'll just create a bit of curiosity. We have Bonadea. Okay. So I'm really looking.
Also.
Oh, well, okay. Now we have echoes. I'm really looking forward to to Sandy's afternoon session. I will tell a bit more when I introduce Sandy later. But Bonadea, remember Bonadea, there is some mystery around it. It will all be unlocked in this afternoon session. Okay, thank you very much. Ciao a tutti. So I'm the host, right? So I have to end the meeting. And okay, so I'll try and figure that one out. Or maybe we just all leave in our own time. Yeah. Okay. If not, if I close down the meeting, accept my apologies. Feel free to mingle. Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.